Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojubaka. We can now take a look at our stories, and price of diesel is now getting closer to 14 cedis per litre. This was after the leading oil marketing firms adjusted their prices at the pumps. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
Market leader GHS is selling a litre of diesel at 13 Ghana cedis, 99 pesos, whilst Total Energies is selling a litre of diesel at 13 Ghana cedis, 95 pesos. The price per litre for diesel had been reducing in recent times, and that was linked to the cedi's marginal stability against the dollar last year, so there's a recent introduction in prices of finished petroleum products on the international market. However, it appears that is changing based on the recent challenges with the Ghana cedi. But these are the prices that I've seen for just two of the leading oil marketing firms. However, Joy Business understands that other major oil marketing firms might be quoting similar values for diesel at the pumps very soon. Some of the oil marketing firms have started increasing prices of petroleum products at the pumps from over the weekend. This is in line with the two-week review in prices of petroleum products. The National Petroleum Authority had told Joy Business that they expect prices to go up by more than 5% this week. This might be one of the highest increment in fuel prices in recent times. This can be linked to the spike in crude oil prices on the international market, decision by the oil marketing companies to increase their margins, and the cedi's sharp depreciation against the US dollar earlier this month. Others are worried about the impact of this development and the possible increase in transport fares. This is because the transport operators have warned that they will push for an increase in fares if prices of petroleum products goes up on the local market, coupled with the emission levy that government has started implementing.
And it is important we have a discussion on the back of this. Joining us via Zoom to do that is energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, who is also the Chief Executive Officer of Eureka Energy. Thanks so much, sir, for joining me on Business Live. Now, it looks like developments on the international market will continue to have a major toll on crude oil following the tension between Hamas and Gaza.
Good afternoon to you, Pius, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners in Ghana and across the globe. Indeed, that's factual. We do have a lot of geopolitical tensions and political instabilities within the Gulf region. I mean, within Hamas, Israel, Hamas, and it has had huge, and lasting, impact on commodity prices. If you notice what's going on, though within the region where this, pandemonium is happening, I mean, this war is happening, they are not the lead producers. However, if you notice, some time ago, I mentioned that, these players are being, they share boundaries with the huge producers of global oil prices, number one. And I also mentioned that if there are some miscalculations with respect to the war, the consequences could be dire. And as we speak now, Pius, I can tell you on authority that, yes, unfortunately, there have been some miscalculations on both sides, and the miscalculations has led to escalation. And so what the global community is now looking at is containment. Because as we speak now, apart from the center of the war, which is within Israel, Hamas, within the Palestine-Israel region, we have about 3 to 4 fronts that are open. Syria is one, Iraq is one, but the most of it, or that is having impact on what we are feeling today, is what is happening within the Red Sea. And it's also linked to, the war in Gaza. These are all rippling effects, and that's what players or analysts were afraid of. Unfortunately, it has come to stay, and it has come to, it has come to hit the market. And why is it particularly having impact on the prices as we have? Pius, if you notice, and that's how come we always call for the fact that we need to have local strategies. Local strategies are very important because if you don't have control over these international dynamics, when they hit, it is only the robustness and the resilience of your local strategy that will help you. Unfortunately, we don't have them, or the hours look very weak. What is impacting is the fact that the Strait, the Red Sea, that is a choke point leading to Suez Canal. It controls about, let's say, 15% of global trade route, and that's quite huge globally. About 15%. Huge of this has to do with hydrocarbons. So as we speak now, ships are made to divert for abundance of caution because we still have attacks within the Red Sea. So that has elongated the journey to over some thousands of nautical miles. And in this business, any increment, even a single day in the journey of the travel of a commodity from the starting point to the destination will have huge impact on what the commodity sells. And so Pius directly, that is what is feeding onto the high cost of diesel, onto the high cost of petrol that we have at the moment. It's not that we have any spike in the global prices. Global prices are still around the 80s, but that premium, the risk premium of the war, is what is impacting. So indeed, Israel-Hamas war is still having a rippling effect on the global commodity prices, and crude oil prices are not exception, Pius.
Great clarification there, Yusuf. But from what you said, do you think that enough has been done locally to cushion consumers so that the excesses of this tension wouldn't escalate? The already impact consumers would have to bear?
I think we could do, a lot has been done, but I think we could do better. I'm saying that because we had deregulation that was supposed to have helped the consumer. But what we have noticed is that, anytime, it's not that we didn't have good times. Somewhere last quarter of last year, getting to the end of 2023, we did experience some nice areas, some nice, some semblance of price drops. What did we see? We see sneaking in of, other taxes, undesirable taxes, nuisance taxes, margins, increment of some margins and stuff like that. These things are not healthy. And the reason why I kick against those ones are the fact that if the market is becoming hot, we turn deaf ears to those increments that we made when the market was very cool. So I want to urge that for the sake of the larger economy, players have to trade with caution. Under no circumstance should we think about any increment in any margin of any sort. If there's anything that we need to do at this moment to safeguard our economy, we should leave it as it is, or we look at even taxes that we consider nuisance. We should be able to do something about that. But I know government is constrained, the fiscal regime is tight, and so if they cannot, reduce some of the taxes that would give, a respite to a consumer, then or to poor consumer, then there shouldn't be any attempt to hover around any of the taxes that we have. And I think most of the taxes are nuisance, and we all know that. And the higher time we do something about that, the better. And that's the only thing that we have control over. The taxes within the price build-up. The whole taxes within the price build-up. We don't have control over the crude oil prices, the commodity price in the international scene. That is just what is playing out now.
I guess it brings to sharp focus the importance of having a refinery about this time. But in the meantime, what would you propose must be done to minimize the impact of these developments on consumers?
Yeah, a very good question. I will say that what we have forgotten or what we have failed to do over the time, and I'll repeat it, and our duty bearers should listen and listen for real good. If you're having your upstream and downstream all together, see, if commodity prices are going up, like crude oil prices, that will have cascading impact on the pump prices. It's not a bad thing because you export oil, but as much as you export oil, you are going to be hit hard by the downstream. So what I always call is the fact that we have to have a workable formula where we have a credible way of cascading benefit on the other way. So that if we are having some windfall at the upstream side, because when crude oil prices are going up, we'll have windfall. Why don't we have some percentage that we can bring back to the downstream to to cushion that? That is very important because that is how we can do to curb inflationary pressures. Other than that, if you leave the upstream to go up and you do nothing about the downstream and you say market forces will take care of the downstream like we always complain, the downstream will burn. And and if inflationary pressures are high, the cascading impact will be high, will be so much for the entire economy, and that I think is not good. So yes, refineries, number one, we need to have a refinery, a local refinery that is vibrant. Number two, we need to have a workable formula that we can cascade this benefit between the upstream and downstream side, whereby when crude oil prices are going up, that extra money, let's have a way of cascading it downstream to push it the consumer. Not that because we like the consumer, but because we want the economy to prepare. We want the economy to revitalize. That's it. If we don't do that, we have ourselves to blame. Pius.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, for your time here on Business Live, sharing your perspective with us. Always a delight to have you on. And I would like to bring in the consumer's perspective and Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, Duncan Amwa, joins me via phone on this subject matter. Thanks so much, Duncan. Now, you have called for the removal and review of some of these taxes and, of course, petroleum margins on these products. Why are you making that call?
taxes, which saddles your petroleum price build-up, you can only come to a common position that indeed we are just shooting ourselves in the foot as a country. In the words of some politicians, you cannot tax yourself to prosperity. And so it's more like collecting money from your kids' box, their susu box, because you want money for the house. You might be better off creating something that gives money for the entire home as opposed to just collection. And if you look at 12, 13 line items of taxation on your price bill, it leaves you only one thing, with only one conclusion, that indeed we are just doing too much. The rent-seeking activity on the petroleum price build-up is quite too much. And it looks as though, for now, anytime there's an issue with any sort of finance or revenue or funding that is required, then the easiest fruit, the lowest hanging fruit for finance ministers is simply to just, input a line of tax on your fuel price build-up or LPG or even electricity. That for us is becoming quite disheartening. And it's one of the reasons I have personally called on the new designated finance minister or minister of finance to ensure that as an energy person, he uses the energy sector positively to drive prices such that we don't get to a point where it is only a matter of, we're going to read budget and it's simply adding on to the taxes or the lines of taxes that you have already existing. If that happens, then he will be a disaster and a disappointment equally. But if he, knowing exactly what energy does to every economy, decided to streamline some of these taxes, do away with some of them, in order to bring down the pressures that you have on your fuel price, and the better. But then again, that said, the taxes is not probably the sole thing driving fuel prices into an oblivion or an abyss. We are saying that the city's performance, in recent times there's been a talk of using our gold to import products into the country. We say that back your currency with the gold, so that your currency can at least be able to sustain itself, so that when I go to bring products worth, say, 10 million, and yesterday I required 120 million Ghana cedis to be able to offset, that $10 million exposure, just selling the product and making my 120 million, I'll be able to pay off whatever the cost for that consignment. But if I come and now I require 130 million to be able to offset the same 10 million USD, eventually I'm simply going to have to get prices going up again. It might not be a function of taxes, but it simply is a function of how poor we have managed our own currency and economy. So those two critical things, the taxes, the local currency and its stability or otherwise, will go a long way to determine whether we are able to bring down the pricing pressures as far as petroleum pricing is concerned in the country.
All right, so Duncan, having enumerated the factors accounting to that development, you speak for the consumers. What should consumers do in the meantime? In a minute.
I think you could get me that question again.
I'm asking that between now and the next weeks ahead, what should consumers do?
The consumer is left in the middle, truly. Or unless to say that the consumer should reduce the amount of fuel that they require for their day-to-day running so as to reduce costs. But as it stands, it is strictly between the managers of this economy to sustain the currency so that the net pricing window, the city does not drag fuel pricing beyond our pockets. If that happens, then whether international market prices surge or they don't, or they remain stable, prices will have to go up because the city is not stable, it is not good enough, it is not sustainable. If the managers of the economy do well to stabilize the city, then you can come back to look at taxes, which are within, the two of them are within our control. International market price, we do not control and have no say about it. Once we can be able to control what is within our control, I think we should be well and good. Other than that, in March, I personally foresee prices going up again.
Duncan, thank you so much for your time here on Business Live. Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amma, speaking to me there. You're still watching Business Live. We are pausing for a breather. I'll be right back with more. Please stay. Welcome back to Business Live. To some other stories, new Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam today chaired his first management meeting at the Ministry of Finance. My colleague George Yafe has the rest of the story.
The meeting brought together the deputy ministers of finance, directors responsible for some sectors at the ministry. The gathering also afforded the minister an opportunity to strategize for the week, as well as track the implementation of some programs and policy measures. Joy Business understands that the meeting again afforded the new minister a chance to assure his team that can be described as his cabinet about his policy direction. This includes the promise that there wouldn't be changes to ongoing programs like the IMF in the 2024 budget, with the finance ministries coordinating with other ministries in terms of implementing the broad economic policy of his government. He also affirms commitment to fast-track programs aimed at firmly stabilizing the economy. Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is also expected to engage the commissioners of the Ghana Revenue Authority later today. All these things are part of measures to ensure the team that there wouldn't be any major changes in terms of the policy direction when it comes to revenue mobilization and how the team of the Ghana Revenue Authority can be assisted to achieve the end-of-year target. Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam's engagement is coming at a time where the immediate finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has asked the team at the Ministry of Finance to give him their full support because he appreciates the issues and he was with them when he was working on a lot of the economic issues facing the country.
And my colleague George Yafe joins me in studio to share some perspective with us on what we are learning in relation to this very management meeting held by Mohamed Amin Adam. Thank you so much, George, for joining me on Business Live. So what more are we learning?
So what more we are learning is that it's more of an assurance and trying to let the people understand that things won't change. This is the cabinet of the Ministry of Finance where they plan, they strategize on what to do and all those things. So he more of gave them the assurance and the need also pushing for some teamwork because he believes that he cannot do this alone. He's not coming in to rock the boat. This team has been working over the years and he plans to stick with this team implementing government programs and agenda. So also try to give some assurance to the team that we are in this together, let's work together and get the work done.
Great. So this, I guess, brings to sharp focus the key issues, that we are facing as we speak as a country in relation to the IMF, how to reduce our debt ratio, and of course, shore up revenue.
And then the IMF, you realize that the MD even came out as well to also write a letter to the new minister about their commitment as well. So you also got the understanding from this meeting that, listen, in terms of the fund program, we can't change anything. We are going to stick to the program. And he needs this team to support the made up of directors of the various sectors to come on board to help him to actually achieve or implement the program. So it was also tried to give the team some assurance that we have a program that we are working under. That program has influenced our budget, and we are going to work together when it comes to the fund program and i.e. the 2024 budget. So it was more of trying to bring everybody to be on board when it comes to implementing the fund program and also the 2024 budget.
And this is key, George, for me, having the predecessor, Ken Ofori-Atta, solicit support kind of from his former colleagues or staff to, lend a helping hand to Mohamed Amin Adam. How key is that?
I mean, that is key because there are some who think that there are certain persons who are the ministry who owe allegiance to the Minister of Finance, that is Ken Ofori-Atta. And with this same team, extend that support to Amin. But again, when you read that memo, you get clear that the minister, the outgoing minister, tried to emphasize that point that Amin was with them when getting all these work done. So don't see him as an outsider. Let's work with him because it's very, very critical. There are some, even though it's a public service, there are some who might kind of owe allegiance to personalities. And with all the criticisms against the former minister, they wanted to do everything to ensure that he succeed. Would that same level of commitment be extended to Amin as well? And that is what you saw. This was an internal memo which later leaked. So trying to encourage his members that, listen, the same support that you gave me as Ken Ofri-Atta, extend that same support to this new minister. And he believes that with the program in place and all the rest, he can deliver. So it is very critical because there are some who are worried that because of that perceived allegiance to Ken, maybe Amin might struggle to cut or get that. And that is why he was advising them that, listen, give that same level of support that you gave to me to Amin as well to deliver.
All right. So do we know the next line of action for?
Well, as we speak right now, he is in an engagement with the commissioners of the Ghana Revenue Authority. And what he's seeking to do also is to bring out the point about how critical revenue is to the whole IMF program. Because if we are not able to raise the required revenue, it has implications on our debt-GDP ratio. It has implications on the whole program. So more of trying to engage the commissioners, try to get the understanding and tell them that, listen, we can't get it wrong with revenue, because if we slip on revenue, it has implications on this program performance, has implications for additional funding, has implications for investor confidence in the economy as well. So more of give them the assurance that on his part as the Minister of Finance, he will do what he has to do. The commissioners also have to up their game to help us hit the revenue target. All
right. Thank you very much, George, for your time. George Yafe is my colleague here at Joy Business. That's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Kojobaka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I leave you with some international business stories. See you same time tomorrow. Bye.